Hi everybody, Duoneo Starfire here, and I'm going to be going over again for this week the weekly Defender report. Now, I'll be going over the two Sacariuses that will be this week, the best to worst tanks to use for this week. Going over the cards again a little bit more and reminders for tanks in this video. But let's go ahead and start off with the two Sacariuses that we will be facing in 4-star this week, Odin and Shiva. All right, everybody. So for this week, we actually have Odin and Shiva. They will actually be showing up from the 8th of June to the 15th of June this week. Odin is actually resistant to stun, while Shiva is resistant to bio. This is a returning presence, and we will actually be getting 5 ability tickets per the clear for our clears. This time around, if we got summon tickets the first time, this time it will just be 5 ability tickets. However, those ability tickets can make or break you actually getting a level up or a skill up on jobs that you cannot get a fodder card for as of right now. So that definitely might be a good idea to actually use and get for at least this week. Also, another thing you want to look at for this week too is the Dominion Axe X's. If you weren't able to get them the first time that Odin Shiva combo was around, definitely look into getting them. It is really good for beginning players, and I highly recommend them for dancers in order to actually get those prismatic orbs you might need before you can knock out your ultimate. And even after your ultimate, actually generating those prismatic orbs very easily. Next thing that you want to look into is possibly getting the Lilith Scroll. Now, as I went over in my previous week, not many people use bio at this present time. However, it would be great to actually have a maxed out Lilith Scroll, not Lilith Scroll, a Lilith card for bio in order if you think it might be better for your combinations later on, and that might be a good one. Also, the Tempest Scroll is a good, I believe it is a crit resist down card that would actually be very useful, and I believe it is a ranger card too, so it would be good to throw in there for a water one and knocking out all that out so that you can actually power up an attacker or breaker at that time. For that, I know breakers don't use Tempest Scroll as much, but it might be just good enough to actually have that card maxed out at that time. And again, once again, the taunt scrolls for this week, making sure that all those tanks that are actually watching this video or going over it actually see and get all those taunt cards that they've been getting from the greater ability summons or just out of thin air, pretty much. I really hope they put them on the ability list, but that'll be a whole nother day. So other than that, that is actually the big things this week. Just remember, Odin is resistance to stun. Shiva is resistant to bio, so once you actually get past Odin, you can actually stun lock Shiva down using the stun lock combo of slow and stun, but I'll go over that when I go over the cards. And we're actually going to go into the next section of this one, which will actually be the best to worst tanks to use as of this week. Hey guys. Okay, so I'm going to go over a few of the tanks for this week and what I believe, in my opinion, to be the best to worst tanks for this week. Now, this week is actually kind of an interesting one because I normally don't play with Scholar as much. However, Scholar for this week is very strong due to a lot of its abilities. Now, in best to worst, in my opinion, for this week, it's going to be Scholar at the best one, Heretic Knight second, Paladin third, and the three that you probably should not use this week, even though they do have their ups and their downs, is Knight, Warrior, and Monk. Now, I only put Knight down on the worst one as it is the best of the worst to use because it still has the resistance to water. It has the resistance to wind, that you can still use the stun lock combo on Shiva. It just is not as powerful as, let's say, the Scholar is this week. Now, I'm going to go over the reasons why I pick Scholar as number one for this week. Now, as you can see right here, automatically Scholar has regen and Vial for clutches. It does have the power drive of fire too, so your drives are increased both for wind and fire. So they make your drives even stronger for that. You also heal drive. Your heal drive is plus 2% on fire and 2% on wind. So you're actually healing yourself at the same time. They're restoring your HP, so that's even better. Another one that's actually good right now is the fact that your enhancing and resistance to each is really good. And the reason why I put this here is because of this. For the Odin Shiva fight, your resistance to water already is 38%. So you're going to actually take way reduced damage on the Shiva fight just because you are a scholar. Also, because you are a scholar, you have enhanced fire of 43%. So you can actually dish it out. And one of the best things I actually will say on this one for that is actually if you have the Y'shtola card from the Final Fantasy Dissidia one, because that virus is a good thing to actually lower down Shiva's attack, lower her defenses down for your other teammates, and on top of that, you deal high damage because it is a damage card to that. So it makes it a lot easier. Also, you have Exploit Weakness, which increases your damage when you use the weakening element, which virus is fire. So that makes it even more powerful to do. On top of that, you have Advert Magic Down and Advert Stun. Those really don't help. But as you can see, a bunch of different things as far as that do come up along with that. But that's why I consider a Scholar to be one of the best ones this week in order to actually use. And a couple of these, you can make a regular deck for Scholar this week. I do have some that are specialty cards, such as the Final Fantasy Record Keeper Taunt card. I have Biggs as my slow and also D-Brave for that, so that I am able to do my stun lock combo on the second one with Nekomata. And then finalize off with the Y'shtola card, which is a single target fire attack. However, it adds D-Brave and D-Barrier, which basically deals a lot of damage. Plus, the damage can go over 999. So that's actually a really good card to use in order to actually deal damage to Shiva while you also are debuffing the target. So that's why I consider it to be one of the best tanks for this week. The next best tank, honestly, is a no-brainer for people. Honestly, Heretic Knight, yeah, it's great. It already has the resistance to wind automatically. Great for Odin. Can take it down quickly. Has the stun lock combo for Shiva and can lower down the yellow gauge very quickly, and has the taunts. It's overall, usually Heretic Knight will always be one of the best ones you can always take if you have this card as a defender. Now, my next one I'm going to go over would be Paladin. Paladin is actually a really good one, and this isn't my greatest build for Paladin. I need to get a few more debuffing cards for that. However, I will say that Paladin will be very effective this week against Odin versus Shiva. Now, resistance to Odin doesn't have anything, so you're going to have to knock down Odin pretty quick with the slows and with everything else. Also, using the Tear Gas Grenade from Biggs, you can actually lower down Odin's attack by using the D-Brave. So that's going to be a big thing right there. Another thing that you'll actually have is if you have Barrett's Satellite Beam, or something that is into the effect of Satellite Beam. It's an area light attack that actually adds on guard, so it nullifies his defenses and allows your attacker and your breaker to break him down. Now, you also have Hecaton Share, which honestly lowers down target's defense for several turns, and honestly, you can then go to ham on that target with your attacker and whatnot. But honestly, this would be better for Shiva because of the fact you then have a lot of resistance to that for fire, and on top of that, you can actually spread that out to the rest of your teammates using your drives. And already with that high health pool, high defense, you're already ready to go for that. So that's why I put it as number 3. The last one that I will mention that could actually be really good would actually be the Knight. Honestly, has high health as it is. Honestly, I always use the Masamune X. Some people like using the Dragon Deal, which I honestly will not say that's bad either. For the Knight card, and I'll make this really quickly right now. For the Knights card, I always must have for my Knights, if I actually do this, let's see, I will actually have, and we'll do this really fast, Nekomata, you'll have your slow right behind there. After that, you'll honestly want your taunt card in there, so you're going to throw a taunt card right in there. And last but not least, you'll want something to break down the yellow gauge, so you automatically throw Odin in there, and boom, you are done. It really is simple. After a while, you get used to what you want to throw in there as far as each. But like I said, Knight is the top of the worst for this week, only because of the fact he does have a lower health pool, and B honestly doesn't have resistance to Shiva, who you'll be fighting for a longer time instead of Odin. Um, as far as that goes, you do have resistances to water, which actually would be really good as far as that. So, you know what? Honestly, I will say Paladin and Knight are kind of interchangeable at this point. As you can see, most of these cards will actually be very good. Odin might not be the best one for that one because of Odin. So I'll go ahead and exchange that out for a good Bahamut, which honestly will be good to use against for Shiva, because I can then help break down the ill gauge and give break defense down for my breaker, so that we can honestly break her fast and kill her quickly. But with that being said, those are the best to worst this week. So in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, others people might do it differently, but the best to worst, in my opinion, this week are Scholar as number 1 as the best, Heretic Knight second, Paladin and Knight would be third. You got Warrior as your fifth, and Monk will actually be your worst one. Even though I love Monk, Monk would be the worst tank to have for this time around. Now, with all that being said, honestly, play whatever you want to play. Honestly, if you can make Monk work for your tank on there, more power to you. But this is just my opinion. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go over a few cards that you make sure that you want to have this week in order to actually make sure that you do well as a defender for this week and continue to do well. So let's go on over to the card. Okay, guys, and we're actually coming to the cards now as far as what you actually want to do and use for the time being as far as tanking. Now, obviously, guys, make sure you use a taunt card if you have it. That has come out recently. One of the best taunt cards probably for this, I have not leveled this one up, I just barely got it, was Vanadis. Honestly, level that up because of this one, water pack right here. You'll actually pull more of the water to yourself instead of everybody else getting it. Also, when you finally level it up, if I'm not mistaken, the best thing out of this would be the potent cleansing and the drive ignition, which is what you'll get at level 5. Make sure that you actually, if you do have it fully leveled up to level 5, make sure you have that drive ignition so it actually helps, because when you drive one orb, you'll drive all orbs. So make sure you have that as far as that goes. Moving on past just using the taunt cards, and as a tank, you should always have one taunt card. The next thing that you'll want to go over, and let me see if I can bring this up here. I hate going through all these things. Y'shtola. Y'shtola, as I mentioned on Scholar, would be an amazing one to have it if you do have this card from Final Fantasy Dissidia, and it is automatically leveled up as an 8 of 8. Virus is an amazing, great attack to use because it does an attack and puts 2 debuffs on the target. So definitely is a good one to have for your Scholar, due to the damage output that it's going to do on Shiva and the debuffs it automatically places on Shiva. Plus, you can use them on Odin, so that makes it even better. Next one, ones that you could use, honestly, for this week is Zodiark. Lowers the elemental resistance, so if you have something that you can actually use, such as you possibly using Warrior, Zodiark might actually be good because you use Zodiark first, and then you use a fire attack on it, and boom, it just does massive damage. Another one, just to go over, Flora. Flora nullifies the target's defense. Now, this would actually be useful against both Odin and Shiva, because even though it is a green orb, one or wind-based, it will actually work on Odin, nullifying his defenses and letting your attacker go to town on him. As far as that, again, if you have for this week, as we showed, it does have Lilith scrolls. So if you do have Lilith in your cards or anything like that, make sure you grab those Lilith scrolls this week and max out your Lilith. They have become fodder for this week, so definitely do that in order to build up that card and max it out. As I said before, Tempest is the other one. As far as that, Conquering Ice is an area water attack, lowers critical resistance. So this card right here is very effective on, let's say, Soldier First Class. So if you max this one out by using the fodder cards this week, this would be awesome to actually have on your thing besides Death Gaze. Most people use his Death Gaze, but this is another one that you can actually use. Let's say if you were going up against an Earth-related Sacarius, such as Hecatoncheir. Moving on. Moving on, as always is going to show up if you do have the Earth ability on any of your things. Slow is a great one to have because Yasha automatically lowers the number of turns that she will actually do. So instead of doing 2 or 3 turns, he only does 1. So that will actually be good facing off against these Sacariuses. Another one on top of that would be D-Brave, which would be Thantos. Honestly, lowers attack for several turns, so that would be another one that you could throw out there. Honestly, it will work against Shiva, but it's not the best against Shiva as far as that goes. Mention Death Gaze. Going down. Okay, so next one is Nekomata. If you have the wind and earth one, make sure you're having Nekomata for your stun combo. Now, what I used was I used Biggs and Nekomata on my Scholar, so I still get that stun lock combo, and it still makes it a little bit more effective at that time. It might not last as long, but it still provides that stun lock on Shiva when she does pop up. So this is a good one to actually have in order for that. Let's see, going down. Like I said before, Hecatoncheir lowers target's defense for several turns. Fire, it's good against both Odin and Shiva, so definitely a good card to have for this week because it's going to lower both of their health defenses down for your attacker and breaker to do more damage. And let's see, we're still going. I know there's a few more on here that I wanted to list for you all, but it looks like we're at the bottom right now, so more to come as far as that. If you see something that you think would actually be good as far as a debuff for that, definitely use it. There's loads of different debuffs that you can use, but I just wanted to go over briefly of ones that you should use and ones you should avoid in order to actually do different stuff and actually make it so that you can effectively debuff your target and take him out as quickly as possible. And let me see if I see anything. Oh, and lastly, always as a good thing, make sure if you have the Final Fantasy Record Keeper taunts or anything like that, if you don't have the taunt for that this week, definitely use those. They are very effective for those and would definitely give you a leg up as far as that. Now, I'm just going to go over a few reminders for tanks at this time and basically make sure that you kind of guys remember always with that. All right. So to sum up this weekly defender report for this week, we have Odin, who is resistant to stun, and we have Shiva, who is resistant to bio. In my opinion, as far as this week for tanks, your best tank for this week will be Scholar. Your second best tank will be Heretic Knight, and coming in third will be Paladin and Knight for this week. Your tanks that you probably should not be taking this week should be Warrior and Monk. But honestly, those are in my opinion, if you have Monk or Warrior and can make it work, go for it. As far as the cards, we went over a bunch of different cards that you can use. I always recommend this sort of setup to actually help as far as that. What you want as far as cards, you want 1 taunt card, you want 2 debuff cards, and you want a third card that can break down the break gauge pretty quickly and help your attacker and your defender break that, or not defender, your breaker break that down quickly in order to actually break the boss. You don't have to have this. You can have 1 taunt card and 3 debuff cards in order for that and just drive the hell out of it. However, I believe this is a little bit better of a setup in order for that to be there, but however you want to play it, that's up to you. I always recommend that 1 taunt card in order to make sure that the boss stays on you. From there, as far as little reminders, make sure you guys are driving your orbs. You might not see it at a time, but make sure if you or your buddies do not have that element that you're currently facing, make sure you drive that so that they can have a sort of a resistance to those things. On top of that, make sure that you are always trying to keep your heal orbs available, so that if the healer is not healing at that time, make sure that you're healing for that healers. Because honestly, you could have a dead party if everyone's at half health. The healer has no heal orbs, and you have loads of heal orbs. You could max out everybody's health at that. And one of the best things about this week is Scholar has the best healing capability. Save your limit break so that if your healer does not have any heal orbs, ultimate with your Scholar, heal drive maxes out everybody's health instantly. So that is one of the best combos I can tell you as far as Scholar is for that. And it also puts Weaken on them, which, by what Zodiac said, what Zodiac card is, if it weakens the target, it doubles the amount of damage that your attacker can do on that target. So definitely, that's another reason why I put Scholar as one of the best ones this week. As far as that goes, guys, make sure you are always trying to go either last or second to last, so that way you can generate orbs for those the rest of your party members. So that way your healer not only gets orbs, your attacker gets orbs, and everything else like that, and you can keep on moving on from there for each one. But that's going to be it for this weekly Defender report. I thank you guys for watching it, checking it out, and I will see you guys next time.